بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. Dear sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. I hope you are all keeping well. Initially, I thought today you look all so foggy, and then I remembered I just need to clean my glasses so I can see you a little bit better, but I think I still need to do a little bit more. As I'm doing this, let's continue the habit that we started of every night remembering a group of people. Yesterday, we remembered those who are going through religious waswas and how difficult that is. Today, I was thinking, let's thank those parents who make it easier for their children to get married. You know, a lot of people are messaging and saying that they are at that age when they've made the decision to get married, but sometimes they may be facing some problems, like maybe the parents are putting very difficult conditions, or maybe they're limiting their options, that the person you're looking for has to be from, for example, has to be a Sayyid or has to be from this specific culture, even though masalan they found someone that they think it's a character match, but the parents don't allow it. But there are also some parents who, at the end of the day, they know that a relationship is there to help two young people get to know each other, find peace, as God says, and so they make it easier. And so for all of those parents who try to make it easier for their children to get married, try to support them, and those parents who maybe tonight they decide to make it easier, let's please recite a salawat for all of them. If you remember, we had this discussion that in order to make sense of our life, we need a narrative that can make sense of where we are right now, where we are going to go, and our past. We said the religious narrative that was telling us this world is Dunya, that surface level narrative, said this world is Dunya, then Dunya finishes, Akhirah starts. We said we have some issues with it. It's slowly losing its grip over us, and we need to go to a deeper narrative. The narrative we've started was saying that, see, Dunya is not this world. Akhirah doesn't start later on. Dunya is the surface of this world. Akhirah is at its depth. And another thing that I've been keep trying to say is that in order to be a Muslim, we don't need to memorize these things. Like, for example, if I say, Akhirah is here, Dunya is here, then I'm not going to become a Muslim. These things are not to be memorized, right? When we say, for example, we have to go to the depth of this world to realize Akhirah, that's not something to memorize. It's a transformative provocation. It's something to provoke a transformation. It has to be enacted. Right? So now we're not trying to just add to the things that we know or we memorize. No, we're trying to learn things that then we can enact. Yesterday we had this discussion that as a result of the things we've put inside ourselves, we have stopped the flow of life, the flow of God's love, and we're not feeling it as much. And it's very interesting. If you look at the Quran in Surah Ankabut, verse 64, this is exactly what God says. God says, if you stuck at the surface, you don't feel alive. إِنَّ الدَّارَ الْآخِرَةَ لَهِيَ الْحَيَوَانِ. It's only once you go to the depth of this world and you reach Akhirah that flow of life resumes again and you feel alive. So this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to revive ourselves. Feel alive again. Haven't you heard this so many times that maybe someone says, I don't feel alive? You know, there are some people who even may end up doing things that they don't like just to feel a little bit of something. Now, this is why when Quran wants to explain what religion is, it says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu istajibu lillahi wa lirrasul idha da'akum lima yuhyikum. It says, beautiful people, beautiful souls, listen to God, follow God and Prophet when they call you to the thing which makes you alive, yuhyikum, revives you. In other words, religion wasn't just a few things that you do and then 60 years or 70 years later when you die, angels will come and be like, okay, should we punish this guy or give them candies? No. Religion is something that's meant to revive us, allow us to again have that flow of love and life that is coming from God. Now, the problem we have is that, as we said, we're not revived yet. By the way, as I said yesterday, this is a very great litmus test to see if our understanding of religion is a good one or a superficial one. Has it revived you or not? Do you feel alive or not? Do you feel God's love? Do you feel God? If not, then we need to go deeper. And I really think if we are honest with each other, we'll realize that most of us, we need to go deeper. Most of us, we don't feel alive in that way. Most of us, we don't experience God. We don't experience that deep kind of love that Imam Hussain, in Ramadan we spoke. Imam Hussain in Dua Arafah says, Asan, every step of the way you're surrounded in God's love. You're swimming in the ocean of God's love. But we're not feeling that. And this is what, according to Quranic language, it's considered a kind of death or being like a stone. Every now and then, something happens and we may wake up a little bit. We may become alive. For example, some people, I've seen this a few times actually. People who go, on these, for example, trips, volunteering trips. Masalan, they go as a group of medical healthcare professionals or other volunteers to go to a different country to do some charity work, help. And I've seen this, many people tell me, they say once we get there and we start helping people, or masalan, maybe optometrists go, dentists go, or people, some other people go to volunteer. They say once we're there, once we start helping people who are in a very difficult condition and we're trying to make their life a little bit easier, we find such meaning in our life. It's so incredible. We feel alive even though it's so difficult. Some of the optoms, they say in one day we see, 50, 60 people, which is such a high number. But despite being so difficult, we feel so alive because we feel like we're doing something. So a heart that is a little bit like a stone is now starting to be revived. And a lot of them, they say, you know what, when we go back to UK or Canada or wherever they're from, I'm not going to go back to the same routine of just following my job and just working and trying to get promoted, etc. No, I want to add this to my life. I want to be there for people more. I said, I want to come back to these trips more. And they really mean it. But a lot of them, they also tell me that, Sheikh, we came back and we really wanted to do that, but after a few weeks, we fell into the same patterns, the routines took over, and after a few months, we realized, oh my God, we forgot about all of that. So sometimes, even when life wakes us up a little bit, life could be a little bit more meaningful. Again, because we said we've created these patterns inside ourselves, we fall into the patterns, and the option of another way of living leaves our mind. It's not that this person, when they come back from that trip, or masalan a ziyarah trip, they felt so spiritual, they said, I want to add some sort of spirituality in my life. Maybe I'll start masalan even exercising, because exercise could be a form of spiritual transformation. Masalan, they made all of these decisions in their Arba'in trip. But they come back, and slowly, the same patterns start happening. And as we said, patterns don't just take over our actions. Patterns can even take over our perception of the world, our cognition. So slowly, what happens is that the option that there's another way of life, that you can do more charity work, or for example, you can spend more time on your physical health, or maybe more time on your family, the option leaves your mind. It's not like these people, when I say these people, I mean us, even us, when we go to ziyarah or masalan, a charity trip, we come back. It's not like after a few months we decide, no, I'm not going to spend my life helping others. Or no, you never decide to let go of it. It's just that slowly, slowly, the option fades. So it's never that we decide to do this to ourselves. It's just that we've created patterns that perpetuate the kind of life we have right now. Now, there's a very beautiful verse in Quran. I think it's Surah An'am, verse 58, I think. It's saying people, some of the people who, when they see hell, and then they're like, Bismillah, welcome to hell, you know? They're like, damn it, this is it? No, return us back. If you take us back to the world, to the earth, we'll live differently. And then what does Quran say? Quran says, وَلَوْ رُدُّوا لَعَادُوا لَمَا نُهُوا عَنْهُ. It says, even if they return, they're going to keep doing the same thing. Why? Because if you've created a pattern, even once you wake up and see its outcome, it's not easy to suddenly change it. In the same way that so many times God has given us these second chances. By the way, in this verse, God is not going to say that I'm not going to give you a second chance. That's not what God is saying. God is going to give you a second chance. In fact, I'm saying already God has given us more than second chances. How many times has it happened to us that we've encountered the outcome of our lifestyle and we're like, oh, I need to change this. Well, that's exactly this situation. People telling God, bring me back, I'll do it again. Or maybe that trip to Hajj, you had one of these experiences. You realize maybe you're not happy about it. Or maybe when your child was born, you were like, oh, no, I need to be serious. Maybe I need to stop smoking, or maybe this or that. We've had a lot of these opportunities. So what God is saying in this verse is not that, oh, I'm not going to give you second chances. God is saying, I'm going to give you second chances, but as long as you put the work in. Because there's no point in these second chances and third chances and fourth chances if you don't change those patterns. And it's saying, even if we bring them back to earth, they're literally going to do the same thing. Like us, we go to a trip, we make a decision, we come back, fall into the same patterns. And as I said, the problem is not that when we come back, we decide not to change. Slowly, the option is removed from our mind. Do you remember a few nights ago we were speaking about the concept of salient? One of the problems that happens is that if we create a pattern, that pattern will remove other things from being salient in our life, right? Just look at, for example, the people who want to create a physical transformation in their lives. Masalan, who wants to start eating healthier or going to the gym. They find it so difficult. Every time they make a decision, I want to start eating healthy, but then when the moment comes that they need to cook the food, they end up cooking the same things. It's not that, and I'm saying this with first-hand experience, by the way, it's not that when you're cooking your food or breakfast, you decide, oh, there's this beautiful, amazing recipe that I can cook right now and it's healthy, and I'm choosing not to. That option does not even appear in your mind. You want to cook, you're in the kitchen, and all you can think about are the same 3 recipes or the same 3 breakfasts you've always had. That's the only thing that's salient. Or you're sitting at home, like a lot of the times I'm thinking, because I used to go to the gym regularly, then I lost it for a while, and I tried to go back, and every time I quote myself after a month, like, why am I not going? And then I was thinking about this a lot, and I realized, oh, it's never salient for me. I'm sitting there, it's afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock p.m., I'm reading, and I'm thinking, I'm tired of reading. I've been at home reading since early morning. What should I do? And I'm like literally thinking, what are the options I have to do something right now? And only a few options come to my mind. Walk to Costa, go continue reading there, go to the park, read there, or sit at home and read. It's not like the option of gym comes, and I'm like, no. I said it doesn't even appear to my mind. So you see, patterns literally remove so many options out. Just a very beautiful way to see, by the way, don't judge me. It's like all of us were in the similar situations. And you know how you can see how a lot of options don't even appear to people? It's so interesting. Just call a few of your friends, especially friends that you haven't spoken to for a while, and ask them, we want to go out. Where should we go? What should we do when we go out? You see that every person has a few options, which could be very different. And the other options are, oh my God, that's such a great idea. How come I never thought of that? See? This is what happens. When you create a pattern, when you've lived in a world in a certain way, only certain actions, certain options become salient to you. خب, please recite the salawat. Yes, dear brothers, is it okay if we get up and go towards that way so that new people who are coming could have some space? I'm so sorry. If you could please raise and move a little bit towards this way. Thank you so much. Oh, sisters as well. I'm so sorry. Yeah. خب. Okay, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much. I really apologize. Again, we have to do that, so inshallah, more of the lovely people who have come all the way, inshallah, they can come and join us. Thank you so much also to the people who just joined us. So nice to have you. Should we continue? If you're ready, please say yes. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajjal farajahum. Salawat is the Muslim yes. See how interactive this lecture has become? Subhanallah. What were we saying? Patterns remove options from our mind. Let me give you one more example and then we'll continue quickly because time is running very fast. I remember a friend of mine had a spiritual experience. He had gone to a ziyarah trip. He came back and it felt so spiritual and you could see, mashallah, it wasn't fake, it was real. One of the things he told me was so interesting. He said, now I've come back, I found the solution to some of my problems that I was really struggling with. And he said, one of the ways in which I'm finding solution is becoming so hilarious. He said, sometimes the solutions are so funny, I can't believe I never thought of it. I said, what are you on about? What do you mean? He said, see, masalan, I had so many people asking me to do things and I was really overwhelmed. And it wasn't even family that I had commitments to. No, masalan, people were asking me this and that, and I was so struggling, I don't know what to do. Sometimes I had to make a lie. You know what, masalan, my uncle passed away, I can't. He was really struggling to make sure he can not make anyone upset, but at the same time not be too much overwhelmed. He said, now I realized, you know what, I can tell them I'm sorry, I can't do it. I realized I can't say no, he was saying. Can you believe it? Sometimes an option as simple as that, I can just say no. It's not salient to us. He was saying before that, people would keep asking me things, and I was like, you know what, I have to find a way out of this. And it would create stress in me. Oh, this person going to say, oh, you're arrogant for not accepting, you're not helpful. I had all of these thoughts. What if I say no, they're not going to like me anymore, all of that. But now I realize, no, I can't do it, I'm going to say no. If our relationship is that superficial that if I say once no, they're going to leave me, let them leave. So see, an option as simple as saying no was never salient. So this is what I'm saying, that a lot of the world could be removed from us, so many options, when we live in a certain way. There's a beautiful Indian story called the monkey trap. I mean, a lot of you may be familiar with it. I don't think a monkey has ever been caught this way, but the story is very interesting. It says a way to catch a monkey is they bring a container with a very narrow opening, and they tie it to the ground, and they put a banana inside. And the monkey comes, sees the banana, very excited, puts his hands inside, catches the banana. Imagine the banana is here. The monkey has caught the banana, but now it wants to take his hand out of the container, but because now the banana in his hand, it can't take it out. All the monkey needs to do to take his hand out is what? leave the banana, and then bring his hand out. But that option is not available. The monkey would keep holding on to the banana until people come and catch him. And it's such a fascinating story to reflect on what happens to us. You know, put yourself in the cognitive framework of the monkey. I mean, that could be a good thing for a t-shirt. Put yourself in the cognitive framework of a monkey. Imagine what is happening in his brain when he's holding onto the banana. The desire for having that banana is so strong that the option that all you need to do is to let go, take your hand out, and save your life is not available. Once a desire, a pattern becomes so strong, with it so many options are out of our life. And this happens to us on a regular basis. Think of, for example, this example that I have seen happen myself, of a person who is telling me he had a very good family, good wife, good children. He loved his family, but he slowly started having feelings for another person. And initially he's telling himself, no, I can't, this is not a thing, we're just talking, this is not a relationship. No, I'm committed to my wife, to my family. This is just a thing, it's nothing really. So now, what has he done? He's put his hand into the container, but he's telling himself, you know what, I can take my hand out anywhere I want, anytime I want. But slowly, as he stays in that relationship more, as feelings grow for the other person, it becomes harder and harder to let go of that banana. So and he's holding on to this banana, to this new relationship, and the feelings are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's as if he can see that his hand is in the container and people are coming to catch him, which is basically the idea that the news of this relationship may come out. He may lose his family, his children, his wife. All of that is about to be in risk. He's seeing the danger approaching, but at the same time, he can't let go of the banana anymore because the feelings are getting stronger and stronger. And he's so sad that, oh my God, I'm going to lose my family over this. Well, mate, just let go. He says, I can't. Because letting go is not that easy. Once a pattern becomes strong, you can't let go. And if you stayed enough in that relationship's feeling becomes strong, the option that I can just let go of this and save my family, not disappoint my children, not disappoint my wife, that option is completely out of your life. Even though it's just as simple as letting go of a banana. But at the same time, it's as hard as letting go of a banana. Because the option that you can let go is no longer there. So what I'm trying to say today is that as we create these patterns, we lose our freedom. Suffering, in its real sense, is a loss of agency. When you are in pain and you cannot change the situation. Either you cannot let go of a relationship that's ruining your family, or you cannot let go of the way that you look at the world, masalan, a pessimistic view of the world. You can't let go of that. Or it could be maybe I have a way of looking at the world that makes me anxious, and I can't let go of that. Suffering is the loss of agency, when I don't have the freedom over my actions or the way I see the world. And what happens is that as we lose our agency, two things shrink at the same time: us and the world. What do I mean by that? Let's think of a person, for example, who's, let's say, addicted to smoking, okay? As soon as this person starts smoking, he gets a little bit high, his cognitive function reduces, right? When you're high, driving is not really an option. I mean, if you're really high, even going to the toilet is a journey, right? The person has smoked, his cognitive flexibility is lowered, right? So he has shrunk. Now, because he has a less cognitive flexibility, the world is shrinking as well. Because now so many options in the world are being removed. For example, you can't drive. You can't call your dad and talk about something. No. So see, you become smaller, and then the world becomes smaller. The number of things you can do in the world becomes smaller. And as the number of things that you can do in the world gets smaller, as you lose your options, then you lose more of your agency. You lose more of your agency, that makes you shrink more, and then it shrinks your world more, and then you and the world keep shrinking in what they call reciprocal narrowing. And after a while, you realize you've lost control over your life. Your world has become so limited to the thing which you are addicted to, and all the other aspects of your life, all the person you were, the person who used to, for example, go and maybe, play sports, the person who would go on hiking, all of these things slowly shrink, and you became this narrow, limited person that is only focused on the addiction, and your world, all the options you had in the world, now they've all shrunk into this one addiction. Reciprocal narrowing. As we lose our agency, as we lose our freedom, our world becomes smaller. We get stuck in a smaller part of the world, the surface, and we also lose so much of ourselves. We become smaller and smaller. And this is not just by, for addiction and smoking, anything. It's not just substances. It could be watching a certain website. It could be even, for example, a kind of stress eating. If it's turned into an addiction, you do something, neural connections are made, so you've literally changed your brain. As you do that, you see that action more and more. Let's say you started using certain websites. As you do that, neural connections are made in your brain. Once that happens, you start seeing that more and more. You notice it more. Before, you would only get triggered on a certain time. Maybe if you went on a certain website. Now, because your mind has focused more on it, you start seeing it more. It becomes more salient. Maybe even billboards trigger you. Maybe even you're in your head and a thought triggers you. And once this happens, your brain literally removes other options. So the number of things in the world as well reduce. So you're shrinking, that's all you're focusing on. The world shrinks. Out of all the things you do, you keep thinking of doing this thing. You get triggered more. Maybe before you would only do it if you were alone. Now even when other people are around, I need to find some time to do it. So even the options of the things you can do in the world shrink. So this is what we mean when we say we're stuck at this small part of the world, and there's so much more to the world. And as we get stuck in the surface of the world, we're also stuck at the surface of ourselves. There's so much more to us. There is so much more to us. We have so much spiritual power, so much cognitive power that right now we don't have access to. Please recite salawat. And by the way, again, as I'm saying, this is not just about addiction. It's about literally every aspect of our life. We could even get trapped in a pattern of pain and not be able to get out of it. Professor Vervaeke, they have this thing called parasitic processing. They explain what happens in a lot of the times when we get anxiety. And it's literally a pattern in which we get stuck and we can't get ourselves out of this spiral of anxiety. Have you noticed sometimes you catch yourself, oh my God, I'm in this spiral going down and I know I'm going to be anxious in a few minutes and I can't get out. Right? This is again a pattern that we could have learned. Well, not voluntarily, obviously, but as a result of that, our world could narrow. So let's go through it quickly. Imagine a bad event has happened to you, right? Something has happened in the world, something painful, and you interpret that as a bad event. Something painful happened, you interpreted that as a bad event. Now, when your brain feels pain, it doesn't just feel pain to annoy you. No. It does that so it can also make you safe from future events that are similar to that. So when you're feeling pain, your brain is also trying to make sure that you don't go through this pain again. So as we go through pain, our brain is assessing how likely is it for a similar event to happen again. And now, can our brain go through all the information in the world? Let's say my heart was broken or someone was rude to me. How can my brain assess the probability of that happening again? It cannot go through all the information in the world and make that decision. No. So it uses some shortcuts, some heuristics. One of the shortcuts it uses is what they call the representative heuristic. So it tries to see how salient are similar events. It wants to see this, for example, someone broke your heart. How likely is it that it will happen again because it wants to keep you safe? How does it do that? It tries to see similar events, how salient are they? Another thing it can use is availability heuristic. It tries to see how many other ones do I remember. For example, if you were heartbroken 3 times back to back, it says, oh, it must be very likely. And by the way, this is why if we in the news see a few plane crashes, our mind thinks that it's much likelier to happen, right? Because in order to assess the probability of situation, it tries to see how many similar events do I remember. Okay, a bad event happened. It was painful. Your brain is trying to see how likely is it to happen again. It goes inside and tries to see how salient similar events are and how easily it can remember them. Now, the problem is because you're sad right now, something literally bad just happened, when you are sad, you remember sad events even more. So your brain's going to make a mistake. And it's going to think, because I remember so many sad things, oh, sad things are salient, oh, sad things are very likely to happen. So it assesses the probability of bad things happening even higher. So what happens? You're going to get anxious. Oh, something bad happened, and it's going to happen again. So you feel anxious. What happens when you feel anxious? You lose your cognitive flexibility. You're anxious. You can't think straight. What happens when you lose that? You may make mistakes. You made mistakes. What happened? Oh, another bad event. I'm feeling doomed. So you see, this is how we get anxious. We fall into this pattern of thinking about the world, and by the end of it, we may end up thinking so many bad things are going to happen to me. And as we think that, we get anxious, and when we're anxious, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to create bad things, and then we're going to use them as proof that, yes, more bad things are going to happen, and then we feel doomed, and it keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and we may get to a place where we're like, nothing good is ever going to happen. The world is bad. I'm doomed. So you see, these patterns can literally make us only focus on the bad things in the world and stop us from seeing all the good things. And Allah, I wish I had time to explain why this happens. It's not like our brain is against us. This machinery was there to make us adaptable to living into this world. It's just that every single thing inside us that is there to make us adaptable to the world, it can also be immersed in deception and have the opposite outcome. Okay, we've spoken about how we may get stuck into these patterns which limit our agency, and as our freedom collapses, the options in the world shrink and we shrink too. Now, what is the way out of this? The way out of this is for us to go through the opposite process. If now we were in patterns which shrunk the world and shrunk us, now we need to look for patterns that open up the world and open us, which is what we've been saying all this time, that we need to go to the depth of this world. The metaphor religion uses to speak about this is going from darkness to light. Why? Because we said, as you're stuck in a certain pattern, so many options are not available to you. They fade. In other words, they're in darkness. Like that person that I told you about, all he needed to do was to say no, but no was not available. We can't say in a way that that option was in darkness. As our world shrinks and becomes smaller, so many parts of it are in darkness. So Quran uses the metaphor of going from darkness to light. Ayatul Kursi. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu yukhrijuhum min adh-dhulumati ila an-nur. God is the wali of the believers, and it takes them from darkness to light. So this is the opposite of all the things that we've been talking about. The journey that shrunk the world got us stuck to the surface. Now we're going to do the opposite and open up the world and open up ourselves. Discover more things in the world and discover more parts of ourselves. The freedom we had, the joy we had, the power we had, and the powers we didn't even know we have. And this, Quran says, is going from darkness to light. Once you start taking on this journey, the world suddenly changes. Before this, you would look at everything in the world and you would just see objects. But now, things in the world slowly, by the way, we'll talk about the process of how to make this, inshallah, in future nights. Tonight, I'll just talk about the destination, then how to create it, we'll talk about it later on, okay? That's my promise. But let's see what happens when we get to the end of it, because so far it's been so gloomy. We're stuck in the surface. As you start going back to light, Quran says things in the world start appearing to you in a different way. See, if we're outside and I do this, what am I showing you? You're saying you're showing us your finger, right? Yeah, that's true. That's my finger. But at the same time, maybe I'm not showing you my finger. Maybe I'm trying to point you, for example, towards the moon. Maybe a beautiful moon is out there, there in the sky. I'm trying to point you towards the moon. So Quran is saying a lot of the times when you get stuck in the surface of the world, you're looking at things which are pointing somewhere else, but you get stuck into them. Imagine I'm trying to show you the moon, but you're focusing on my finger. What happens slowly, as you go from darkness to light, you realize every single thing in the world is helping you in this process and is pointing you towards where you should go. Let's read the Quranic verse that says this. سنريهم آياتنا في الآفاق وفي أنفسهم حتى يتبين لهم أنه الحق. God says once you start, you want to go to this journey of going to the depth starts, the whole world, instead of being objects, they become signs and symbols that point you towards the deeper reality behind them, which is what? أنه الحق. God says everything in the world, instead of being an object, it turns into a symbol. Instead of being a finger, it becomes a pointer to a star. What are they pointing to? Annahul Haq, God. So the way you experience the world, you realize, oh, everything in this world is pointing you towards where you should go, and that is God. Annahu ala kulli shay'in shahid. Allah Ta'ala translates shahid not as the one who witnesses, but as the thing that can be witnessed. And he says this means that then you start seeing God through everything. Do you remember we said we're going from darkness to light? What is light in Quranic language? You tell me. Allahu nuru samawati wal arz. So as you start going in this journey of going from the surface of the world to its depth, you slowly realize that what is going to be waiting for you at its depth is much more than a larger world. It's the Creator Himself. At the depth of this world right now, the reality that we can find and meet is God Himself. And now you may be saying, come on, that can't be true. You may be doubting it. Well, I'm very happy God knew that. And He said in the next verse, أَلَا إِنَّهُمْ فِي مِرْيَةٍ مِّن لِقَاءِ رَبِّهِمْ. Do they doubt? Do they doubt that they're going to meet their Lord? إِنَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُحِيطٍ. Do you doubt seeing me while I am surrounding you? You are living inside the reality surrounded by God. Like fishes in an ocean that are doubting whether we ever see water or not. Imam Hussain in Dua Arafah has a very beautiful line. What does Imam Hussain says? إلهي علمت باختلاف الآثار وتنقلات الأطوار أن مرادك مني أن تتعرف إلي في كل شيء. I'm so sorry. أن تتعرف إلي في كل شيء حتى لا أجهلك في شيء. Imam Hussain is saying to God, and I realized all the things that were happening in my life, every single thing, was you, what you wanted out of all of that, was to show yourself to me through everything, حتى لا أجهلك في شيء, so that I can see you through everything, and there's no point at world in which I am not seeing you. فأينما تولوا فثم وجه الله. Wherever you look, you can see God there. In order to understand this a little bit, how does this happen? Although we're going to mention a deeper example. This is going to be a shallow example. We'll give you a deeper one as well. Imagine there's a paper and you're seeing a pen writing calligraphy on it, right? Initially, you can say, yes, the pen is writing calligraphy. Or you can say, oh, no, it seems like there's a hand holding the pen. But you know that the hand is not writing calligraphy. It's a person. And that person has a mind, and in his mind, he decided to write calligraphy. So you can either look at the pen writing or the handwriting, or you can go deeper and say, no, it's not the pen, it's not the hand, it's the person. So in the same way, Imam Hussain is saying, in this world, you can either say, oh, this person is showing love to me, or you can go deeper and see, no, that person is a pen in the hand of God writing calligraphy. It's not that this person is showing love to me, it's God through this person showing love to me. And Imam Hussain says, I start seeing you through everything. So my question to you is now this. We're all talking about, we're stuck at the surface of this dunya. We want to go to its depth. What is the depth of this dunya? Let's go to Quran and find the answer. Surah Hadid, verse 3. هو الأول والآخر والظاهر والباطن. And Quran takes it even further. It says once you start going towards the depth and you find God at the depth, you realize all along it was all God. Because it's not هو الباطن, it's هو الظاهر والباطن. And as you go deeper and you go deeper and go, oh my God, how much you've been in my life all this time and I couldn't see. It's as if I was looking right into your face and not seeing you, oh God. Which is what Imam Hussain says in the continuation of Dua Arafah. عَمِيَتْ عَيْنٌ لَا تَرَاكَ. The eye that cannot see you is blind because you're staring right into my eyes. أَيَكُونُ لِغَيْرِكَ مِنَ الظُّهُورِ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ. So far we're saying other things point you to God. Imam Hussain says you reach a place where like these things, they can point me to God. It's like I've seen for example, the sun. How can a light give me lamp? It says these things point me towards you. You're way more clear than anything else. متى غبت حتى تحتاج إلى دليل يدل عليك. When you were ever absent, that I needed to look for something to show me the way to you, you were always there. ومتى بعدت حتى تكون الآثار هي التي توصلني إليك. And whenever were you so far that I needed to look at the symbols and the sign to point me towards you. So as we go into the depth of this world, we encounter God and we realize all along we were surrounded by God. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَكُلِّ شَيْءٍ مُحِيطٌ. Not only outside, but even within us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِهِ. Between you and your heart, God was there. وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ حَبْلِ الْوَرِيدِ. God, we lived in God, through God. And we couldn't see Him. But as we go in the depth, we start discovering that. And I'm going to finish with one analogy. Let's keep that for tomorrow. I want to recite a few lines for an individual that I love so much. Please recite a salawat. Tonight is the night that we commemorate the Ashab of Imam Hussain. And I really love the story of Hur. Because Hur is a person who, like me, made a lot of mistakes. He's the one who stopped the caravan of Imam Hussain. He's the one who didn't allow them to have water. He's the one that when Imam Hussain got there and said, "Khob, if you don't want us to go to Kufa, we'll go somewhere else." He said, "No, stay here till Amir tells us what to do." But after a few days, when he saw Imam Hussain, when he saw the way Imam Hussain speaks with his children, when he saw the beauty of Imam Hussain, the heart that had become like a stone slowly became awake. And he's there thinking, is there a chance for me yet? Can I do something? And he goes to the Imam and he's like, will Imam ever accept me after all this I've done? I am the person who literally started something that's going to end in the death of him and his family. He's very scared. Will Imam ever forgive me? And Imam Hussain says, "Irfa' ra'sak." This is what I love about Imam Hussain. He says, not only I'm going to forgive you, mate, we're not going to talk about it anymore. Hold your head high. Done. So I'm just going to recite a few lines. Just tonight, I feel a little bit inspired. In Farsi, it just says the same story that I just told you. میاد از دور سیاهی به امید نیم نگاهی دل شکسته و پریشون میکشه از سینه آهی میگه ای سید و سالار میگه ای ماه شب تار بیا و قصه و غم رو از رو قلب خسته بردار من همونم که تو این خاک اومدم راه تو بستم دل شکستم چرا که دل زینبو شکستم من یه قطرم که روونم به امید وصل دریا یعنی میشه توبه من مورد قبول مولا مورد قبول مولا. Please recite the salawat.